Welcome to Startup Spokane, where hosts Steve Traben and Megan Halsey explore the excitement and momentum growing throughout Spokane's expanding startup community. Startup Spokane is a joint effort between Greater Spokane Incorporated's Startup Spokane, our friends at Well Dressed Walrus, and Spokane Talks Online. Now, here are your hosts, Steve and Megan.
Welcome to Startup Spokane on Spokane Talks Online, your podcast home for everything startup and entrepreneurship related in the Spokane region. I'm your host, Steve Traben, along with me, my sidekick, Megan Halsey. And as you know, Startup Spokane is a program of Greater Spokane Incorporated, and we're here to provide our region's story around entrepreneurship and educate you about the resources that exist in our ecosystem. Whether you're a native entrepreneur or looking to Spokane as that next great place to launch and grow your business, we hope that you'll participate in our podcasts and listen in to all the great information that we have in store for you. And Megan, with that, let's introduce our very special guest today.
Yeah, I'm really excited. One of the great partners that we have in our ecosystem are many of the colleges and universities in our region. And today we are hosting Ryan Arnold. He is the Director of Regional Entrepreneurial Strategy for North Idaho College in Coeur d'Alene. So Ryan, could you take just a moment and tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Sure. So as Megan said, I'm the Regional Director of Entrepreneurial Strategy, a mouthful of a title over at North Idaho College, and I actually used to be the Director at Startup Spokane, so this is really nice to be back with Steve.
It's a little bit of a homecoming, right?
It's a little bit of a homecoming, new studio, but all very familiar. So, my work for the last, 4 or 5 years has been helping entrepreneurs in a lot of different ways, and that was through Startup Spokane, some of the other work I've done personally, and now at North Idaho College, which is a lot of fun to be in my hometown doing some really impactful work.
Yeah, and I think, it's great that you've got this legacy of work in the entrepreneurial ecosystem in our region because you get it, you're passionate about it, and I think part of the great work that you're doing, and we're going to talk about here, Ryan, is you're really creating a seamless. There's no boundary between Eastern Washington and North Idaho, in my mind. Right?
We're working on that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely two different communities. So, and I think we're all kind of respectful of that. That Spokane is a different community than Coeur d'Alene, and we have different needs, we have different personalities, but I think we all understand it does us better to work together,
right.
And that's easier said than done some days, but we're getting there.
Good.
Every day we're kind of weaving those threads together a little bit more.
Yep, I think it's all work in progress, but let's take some time and help our listeners understand what great things you've done and you're doing with North Idaho College, and maybe you can kind of start before you arrived, kind of give the lay of the land and take us to current state.
So, right now at North Idaho College, to give a little bit of background, we have an entrepreneurial certificate program, and that's the Avista Center for Entrepreneurship and the sponsorship that Avista made to our community colleges to kind of jumpstart these programs. So on the curricular side, we have a great certificate program, and Dana Moore's the instructor there, and he's done an awesome job at really taking the lead and the charge of pushing this program to, I think, a whole new level from where we started 3 or 4 years ago. So we have the curricular side. So we teach entrepreneurship in the class, and those are the building blocks, not really the cultural components yet, but the building blocks of accounting, finance, marketing, and a lot of people need to go through that structure to understand how to actually run and maintain a business. I was brought in sort of as co-curricular. So all the extra things that we could do on campus to really jumpstart an entrepreneur community. So when we think about things like, we're going to talk about a rapid prototyping lab, about a makerspace, about culture, student-run ventures, there's a lot of opportunities besides in the classroom, and I think that's where entrepreneurship really happens, is outside of the classroom, and that's where we want to take North Idaho College next, is kind of that next level.
Yeah, more applied, practical,
Absolutely.
Right? Practical learning versus textbook. And in fact, what I really like about the entrepreneurship programs at North Idaho College and some of the other community colleges where we set up the Avista Center for Entrepreneurship, they don't even use textbooks. Right. But you're absolutely right. I mean, they are the foundation, the building blocks, and you're working on this co-curricular aspect of it. And so go ahead, Megan.
And what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about that space that you guys have started to take over on the NIC campus. It looks like it's going to be a pretty amazing thing. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So when I came in to North Idaho College, I was given an opportunity to really sit down and think about what we could do beyond the classroom curriculum we have. And there were sort of two paths I saw in my mind. One was a lot of reflection of what Startup Spokane was, a community connector, but built for Coeur d'Alene. And we've got other programs and other organizations that are doing great work over there. And so we kind of looked at where the gaps are, just like we did with Startup Spokane at the beginning, and then really realized we have a different asset as well. And so on campus, we have a vocational tech center, and it's about 30,000 square feet. And that was where all of our collision, auto repair, diesel mechanic, hands-on trades used to take place. North Idaho College built a much bigger facility out in Raptor Prairie, so all that got vacated about 2-ish years ago now. And so from leadership, past and present, there was really a decision of what could this building be and become over time. And so in the back of my mind when I started this project, it was, all right, do we take on this big, audacious building, or do we keep it sort of succinct to just entrepreneurship programming? We decided we have a really unique opportunity here. So this building is a place where we want to bring in new programs, opportunities, and ideas. And that's a little convoluted. I know we're going to get into it, but the unique thing about the building is that it's high bay space. And when we think about college spaces and revamping something as far as an old building, that's a pretty unique opportunity to have huge high bay spaces, which are, for me, modular. For me, they're opportunities to put a lot of different things in there and to maybe break down some walls and have big open spaces for doing really cool things.
Right, and just for people that don't know what high bay spaces are, I mean, you used to have like a diesel mechanic. I mean, we had big equipment and machinery in these spaces. So we're super tall ceilings.
Yeah,
right?
so probably 30 to 40 foot high ceilings in some of the bays, and the diesel repair bay itself. Right now, soccer is playing practice in there for the winter. We can fit 5 diesel trucks in there, and that's full semi trucks in that one bay. So these are big spaces to play with, and we're already. If we rewind to 6-8 months ago and we were thinking about this, it was sort of audacious to think we could fill all this. And I know Steve and I and Megan and I have talked about what could we do there.
Right.
And with some of the partners that we lined up, and this is not my doing, this is NIC's forethought and kind of visioning right when I got there, those partners coming in really helped us define what this could be. And now we're going, I don't think we have enough. Right? I think we can really take this building on and do some cool things and then go beyond.
That's really exciting. So I would love to get a little bit into some of those partners that you have who are helping you build out that space. Who are those and what are they doing?
Yeah, so one of the really exciting partnerships that I stumbled into being at NIC and just luck of the draw is Gizmo Coeur d'Alene. And Gizmo Coeur d'Alene was sponsored by the University of Idaho for the last, give or take 3 or 4 years. Again, in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, a lot of these things are new. And so now we're starting to get to phase 2 of now how do we all work together.
Right.
And Gizmo was in a small space, about 2,000 square feet in Midtown Coeur d'Alene, and they're a really unique group of individuals that have the ability to do really creative things, but I think they focus first on the need that was in the community that needed to be addressed first, which was K through 12 education, STEM education, or STEAM. We're talking about arts as well. So it's hands-on crafts, coding camps, all sorts of fun opportunities for younger kids to learn. But that's not where it should have been limited to. And so Space Limited really Gizmo Coeur d'Alene to that niche. And now with the partnership at NIC, we've rolled them into we're about 5,000 square feet right now with the opportunity to grow in the summer to another bay space. And that gives them more opportunity to do more programming and to work with NIC to provide that access to our students.
Yeah, so can you talk about what you imagine or envision the programming, how it will expand? I mean, because today it's pretty much K-12. So do you see it actually expanding to a wider demographic?
The way I relate it is Gizmo Coeur d'Alene is a standalone 501c3. So their vision is their own, but it's a nice partnership with North Idaho College. I sit on the board of Gizmo, so I have a little bit of insight on to where I think we're going over time. Those hands-on soft skills, I think, are a really great thing for our community. But when we look at what Gizmo has as a tool set, we have heavy industrial tools in there. CNC machines, plasma cutters, 3D printers. It's impressive. And when we look around the nation as far as what a makerspace looks like, I think we have a really unique offering in Coeur d'Alene that we can build upon. So The opportunity is to grow bigger over time and to offer more things. So
Okay.
to your question, we've talked about emerging media arts as a possibility. And that would be VR, AR, game design, high-tech applications that really our future workforce needs. It needs to have that hands-on experience. And University of Idaho has a program that focuses on that right now at the 4-year level. So rolling back right now to a community college and how that interacts with the 4-year university, computer science at North Idaho College connects to University of Idaho's 4-year. And so we see examples like that where that's really beneficial to our students. And so we're trying to see what else we could do in that high-tech space.
Yeah, and so what I'm hearing and seeing as we've talked about this offline, Ryan, is that you're really creating an intersection between colleges, universities, between different disciplines within the college, right? So very interdisciplinary. And so let's talk for just a couple minutes about kind of the connections, how the students are getting engaged in this process.
Yeah, and I think, to give you the timeline of where we're at, Gizmo moved in January. And so this has been a very rapid process to get them in, to get all their tools from one spot to another, to expand out, to get them operational. So now they're hosting classes, and that only happened about a month ago. But now we're thinking about more and more and more. So it's fun to go that route, but it's also really interesting because we don't have the real definition yet. We're still working on what this will really look like. We know we have really cool tools. We have really talented people, and we know we have a need in the community for that interdiscipline education, that when we launch these students out into the workforce, they're going to need the ability to understand how to take risks and to solve problems that don't have answers in their textbook. And those are the things that I think Gizmo can provide, and that space is really in tune for.
Yeah, and I know Gizmo is one partner of several, and then there are a whole lot of other activities that you have planned for this 30,000 square feet location. And I think after our break, we're going to dive deeper into your Collab-Lab and rapid prototyping space. Yeah. 1 minute before we go to break, I mean, one of the unique attributes of this building is its location. And so just take 15 seconds and talk to our viewers about where this building is.
It's by the beach, right? North Idaho College is a beautiful campus. We're downtown Coeur d'Alene. We are right by the beach, but it's also actually pivoted towards the community, so it's a nice access point, and that's one of the things I've pitched to internally to NIC is this is a unique opportunity where the community can access it very easily, which is not always a real example for a campus.
No, but it's really super important when we're talking about the ecosystem. Right. We have so much more to talk about with Ryan Arnold, Director of Entrepreneurship Strategy for North Idaho College. Stay with us on Startup Spokane on Spokane Talks Online. We'll be right back.
They say it takes a community to raise a family. It also takes one to build a business. I came to Spokane 12 years ago as a Whitworth student, and I planned to leave after graduation. But the more I got to know this community, the more I wanted to become a part of it. My husband and I have built our business in Spokane, and now we're raising our family here too. We operate a consulting company that provides creative business development strategies. Our approach is holistic and dependent on intentional connections and relationships. And no one understands connections and relationships better than GSI. They direct momentum towards investments in our community, provide resources that help business leaders connect, and they're dedicated and passionate about making Spokane great. GSI gives me the confidence to build my business here because they believe every organization, even a small one like mine, adds big value to our community. With GSI's help, Spokane will be a place my son will want to build his career too. I'm Eva Marquette, owner of Freshview. We're creating something greater with Greater Spokane Incorporated.
Hi, this is Kurt Stockwell with Well Dressed Walrus. We are a local website design and development company here in Spokane. What we do is build beautiful, usable websites for local businesses. A website needs to be beautiful, it needs to be usable for your users, your customers, and yourself. Contact us anytime. We'd love to talk with you about your online marketing.
What? You haven't been to the library lately? Stop in today and see that the library is more than books. Spokane County Library District facilities feature on-site technology, including Wi-Fi, computers, and printers, as well as free use of meeting rooms. The Library District offers events and programs for all ages, from story times to career development and employer classes to Social Security workshops. Our staff is well trained and happy to help. Find out more about your library at scld.org.
Welcome back to Startup Spokane on Spokane Talks Online. We're joined today by our guest Ryan Arnold, who is the Director of Entrepreneurial Strategy at North Idaho College, and we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the partnerships and the ideas you guys have that you're working towards. One of those that I think is really exciting is the Rapid Prototype Lab. Can we talk a little bit about what that means?
Sure. So, when we thought about Gizmo and all the, I mentioned the tools and the resources, and really there's a lot of heavy-duty tools in there. We looked at what else we'd really need to provide a really tangible benefit to the business community. And again, looking at that high base space, that unique opportunity for us, what goes in there and what do we differentiate ourselves about in that space? And what we really think is that this is a place in the community where we can make things. And I think that's where we haven't seen that really been done yet in the Spokane or Coeur d'Alene community, an open access point where businesses can come in and make things. And when we think about what happens in NIC, it's always student focused first. So if we're building a rapid prototype lab, students need the ability to engage businesses. That's part of that experiential learning process. And so we're thinking about how can we bring businesses on campus that's beneficial to them and also beneficial to students. So a rapid prototype lab, this concept is the idea that if we can get a few more tools in this space, and this would be, high-end carbon fiber 3D printers, 5-axis water jet machines. There's some other tools out there that if we could get this together, I think we have an opportunity for businesses to really utilize NIC space. And this is sort of the cross point of, workforce development, student education, business engagement that NIC is great at a community college level. So to kind of clarify up, we hope that 5 to 10 companies could actually utilize one of these base spaces over time, bring an idea in that they want to prototype. So this is not a place like an incubator where they sit there for 6-10 months, a year, and run their marketing and run their finances through. This is a place where they're actually building and prototyping something with professional staff and with student teams, so that the students get the experience as well. And that's something we haven't seen regionally, but we've seen nationally that we think is a good model for us.
I think that you've identified a gap in the ecosystem,
absolutely.
and I think that's part of the work that we all do is doing just that. So Ryan, are you beyond the conceptual stage of this? Are you actually piloting this now, or where are you guys?
So we're getting close to, the timelines are interesting because we've talked about remodeling this whole building, right? But that's a huge lift in the priorities of the community college. We have other things on campus we'd like to do as well. So we're kind of biting off small bits. Moving Gizmo in was a great example. The Small Business Development Center moved from Post Falls to this building as well. So now we have business mentorship and coaching and classwork on the same level as Gizmo Coeur d'Alene. So there's all these opportunities that are very low cost to move in over time. The prototype lab, I think we can launch without doing the full building remodel, because at the end of the day, what we need is space, talent, and the opportunity to utilize that space
and
with
some
our students.
tools.
Yeah. So we're working through what that process looks like. It could come all at once with a major remodel and getting that whole lift done, or we can sort of piecemeal this in over time. And that's just part of the process of creating something new, right?
Yeah. So what does it look like if someone's interested, in being, from a business perspective? I've got an idea. There's something I want to prototype, and I'm interested in working with NIC. What does that talk about? What that process looks like? How do they reach out to you? How do you establish who's a qualified candidate to come into the Rapid Prototype Lab?
We're making this up on the fly a little bit.
That's all right.
But that's part of the process, right? And I think we're going to learn a lot as we go. Right now, I think it's not that we don't have this opportunity already, because Gizmo, in a lot of ways, and the talent and the tools in there can get you pretty far. We think there's a few more things we can add to get us farther. So my suggestion right now is that if you have an opportunity to build a prototype or you want to go through that process, engaging Gizmo, that 501c3 at North Idaho College, is a great example. They have memberships at corporate level, so you can utilize their tools, you can get the training. They have classes, so you can make sure you're up to speed on all these different things. And I think you can get pretty far that way, but we're trying to add a little bit more.
So does that mean that Gizmo will be the entry point then, and then NIC is going to wrap around that with additional tools, or?
So the way I've talked about it with Gizmo and at North Idaho College is having two access points that are really, at the end of the day, blended together
Sure.
on the backside. But for businesses, I think there's a different message and a different opportunity for them to come in and utilize the resources we have that are very much blended with what Gizmo already is. I
Right.
mean, we're using their tools. But for K through 12 education and where Gizmo's already been really powerful, I think that message has to stay the same. And so we don't want to change all of this messaging over here and all this branding and all this, all these entry points to just business, right?
Yeah.
We want to have two ways to access.
And
And
can-
so NIC would manage the business side of it.
Okay,
is where
that
we're
makes sense.
going.
Can you layer on top of that how college students at NIC will participate in the prototype lab?
Yeah, so right now I've taken on that when we start bringing businesses in, it's the responsibility of myself and North Idaho College to really find those access points. So early on in the last couple months, we've been working with instructors, with student clubs, and individuals on campus to just say, hey, this is what's coming. How do we engage with a class and integrate this in some way, or how do we integrate this into a club? And again, this is all very new for a community college. And as we know, education moves a little slower because there's a lot of protection in not changing things right away. So we're working to see how those entry points work, but it'd be up to myself and anybody else on my team to kind of figure out how that model works.
Now, if I was starting a business in Spokane and I had a product that I needed to have prototyped, is it available to somebody who lives in Washington
Sure.
to come and work with you? Great. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. So and they would come through that Gizmo route as well.
Yeah, either myself in the entrepreneurship program or through Gizmo, you're going to find the same people, right? At the end of the day, we're a pretty tight group of individuals working on this project together. So I think we've got some redundancy in there. You're going to find the right person if you show up on campus.
Fantastic.
Yeah, this is a great conversation, and I'm probably gonna create some discomfort with where I'm going next,
Awesome.
but I think it's worth discussing. Who's leading the ecosystem is really something I think about often in our own region, and Greater Spokane Incorporated and Startup Spokane has been an incredible convener, connector, facilitator here in Spokane. And a lot of this conversation and the partnerships that you're building along with NIC, Ryan, it seems like NIC is wanting to really try to help be an instigator, if you will, of the ecosystem in North Idaho. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think, I was brought in to really look at the opportunities to do more on campus. And again, students are our first focus. So how do we engage our students and give them the skills they need to really become impactful adults in whatever route they take? We think entrepreneurship is a skill set that really crosses all disciplines. So whether you're going to be a chef through our culinary arts program or a nurse or anything else that we teach at North Idaho College, at the end of the day, you're going to end up in an economy where you might be a 1099 worker or you might have to launch your own business.
Right.
So at first and foremost, we're trying to address that issue.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great organizations in Coeur d'Alene, in North Idaho, and over in Spokane that are doing very unique things. Panhandle Area Council, Innovation Collective, our EDC, the chambers. I think they all have a specific niche. And that's where we're all starting to kind of feel out where it all works, right? Just like in Spokane.
Yep.
And
Oh yeah.
It's evolutionary.
It's a process.
We get it. I get it. So I wasn't really trying to paint you in a corner there. We only have a couple of minutes left, and I want to have you talk quickly about the Beverage Arts program because I'm thirsty.
Oh, yeah. It's only like 10 o'clock, Steve. So, we talk about openness and access and all those things that make a community college great, but we also want to focus on industry once in a while. And one of the things that we looked around when we said, all right, we got high base space and we want to engage industry, what fits in here and what fits with where we feel our economy and our culture and things are going in North Idaho and Spokane and the region. And brewing is one of those things. And we can look to examples like Walla Walla Community College that, launched a wine incubator back in the 80s and can link that to some of the greatness that Walla Walla is in their wine system now. And so we've seen this at Central Washington University at the bachelor's program. And so we engaged the beverage side of our community early on and just said, what do you guys need? And so I hosted a roundtable, and we're just picking the brains right now of those individuals to see, because the industry is very diverse, from a cidery to a large production craft brewery. They have different needs and they're in different points of their life cycle. So I don't know where we're at exactly. Our space has sort of been eaten up by this creation and creativity and gizmo, but we're interested in how we can impact industry specifically, and that fits within the wheelhouse of NIC. So beverage arts could be something down the road, or it could be something with our partners out there as well.
I love the multifaceted aspects of the entire program. So
thank you.
Well, I think that we could talk about what you guys are doing in all of these strategies all day, frankly. There's so many exciting things you guys have going, but unfortunately we're running out of time. So we're going to have to wrap it up today. But thanks again for joining us at Startup Spokane. And thanks to our guest, Ryan Arnold. And just want to make sure that you guys know that this is the place to come if you want to share the story of entrepreneurship in the Inland Northwest. We hope you join us for future broad and podcasts, and we'll continue to bring profiles of successful entrepreneurs, information about helpful resources, and so much more. Talk to you next time at Startup Spokane and Spokane Talks Online.
Startup Spokane is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksOnline.com, which is a joint effort between GSI's Startup Spokane, Well Dressed Walrus, and Spokane Talks Online. Ask a question, recommend a guest, and hear this program again online anytime at SpokaneTalksOnline.com. We wish you a great and profitable day.